Oh, morning, everybody. We're at about 10:01. I think we'll get started. I know people are starting to come on in, but we'll get started here in a sec. And if you are just joining, be cool if you go over in the Q&A chat. Hopefully you see that there on the right-hand side Q&A chat. You can say good morning or whatever you want. You can say it anonymously if you want. But that's also where you can put some questions. Feel free to start putting questions now or at any time. What I'll do is kind of talk through some stuff, but I really want to hopefully, look at Q&A chat and see questions and that I can answer, here for you live. So, but yeah, we are live. This is a Teams live event session, um, and we have probably lots of people joining. I work with many different agencies across a couple of different accounts for as relates to Teams. So if you're on, I probably invited you or sent you a link a little or yesterday actually. So it'll be kind of generic if you're on thinking that I'm going to talk specifically about your agency or your particular initiative. That's not really what today is. I hope to do this, continue to do this over time, and if for your agency, if you do need something, you're hoping for something more custom or specific to your agency, reach out to me. I'm happy to do that as well. But just the forewarning that this one's a little more generic. We'll talk about meetings, and but I really hope that you put Q&A questions in there that I can answer. This is kind of a ask me anything. If you ever seen that online, AMAs, we're actually having a Teams AMA on Thursday where you basically go online and everybody is just asking questions, and there's a team of experts that are watching that chat and answering the questions. So AMAs happen all the time, especially on Twitter and whatnot. Great way to just, whether you just want to read the sessions or the questions that are coming through or actually ask something, it's a place where there are some experts that are watching this chat and answering it for you. So we're not going to do that per se, but I will answer questions. So some folks are not getting audio. If you are hearing me okay, can you go ahead and put that in the chat and I can confirm whether my side is working okay. I don't see that I'm on mute. So if you can hear me, put that in the Q&A that you can hear me. If you can't, obviously check your speakers and everything, but maybe even leave and come back in with the link. Maybe that'll help. So I really hope the audio is working. If we go ahead and get started here, again, office hours for Teams. I'm Ricardo Wilkins, I'm Microsoft Customer Success Manager. Hopefully you already know me or met me, as I've worked with your agency. And so it sounds like people can hear. You don't have to worry about muting your mic as an attendee. You're just watching it. This isn't a full-blown Teams meeting where everybody talks. This is Teams live event, a webinar style thing where up to 10,000 people like yourself could be watching, but I'm the only one that gets to talk today. so you don't have to worry about your mic or anybody hearing you at all. You're just watching and interacting with Q&A. So thanks everybody for letting me know that you can hear me. So yeah, jumping into this though, this was really just about having a live session to really talk about Teams, and I think part of where it spurs from is a lot of agencies, maybe yours, are starting to change the way they work based on current events. Many are working from home, working remotely, or maybe some combination of a little bit of office and home work, and so a lot of people are using Teams as their primary tool for enabling that effort. And so what I hope to do is continue to have these sessions where we can continue to give tips about how to make Teams work for you, how to leverage it in these kind of situations. I do have, we'll talk about it later. I have an article specifically related to, hey, this is your first day home, working from home using Teams. What are the 3 tips you need to know to kind of be successful? And I think I'm pretty sure I have that in the deck here. But I really wanted to talk just a little bit about Teams. Now, for those of you that are brand new, just to get us all on the same page, what is Teams, right? I mean, many of you may have been using Skype in the past, and you may have been using it primarily maybe for a meeting as well as a quick chat to someone. Teams is all of that. Eventually will replace Skype as we know it, next summer, but it's certainly much more than just a quick chat or a quick meeting. I mean, it's where you can have all your meetings and your chats, persistent chats, as well as all your documents to collaborate on them in real time. I don't know if you've tried that yet, but we can be in the same document and I can literally see your cursor moving around the screen and see you typing. So the days of emailing documents to each other or waiting until I'm done before you can do your part, those days are over because of Teams and SharePoint, OneDrive. And then even integrating other apps, right? So the third-party apps that Teams integrates with, the website tab, if you got a favorite site or maybe even a site that you have to interact with, put that in a tab and now it's right there in your team. All of these things help make Teams be a spot where you get all your work done, all in one spot. So let me do something here, just a little logistics. Check this here. Okay, and we're good there. All right. All right, good, we're good. Yep, so this graphic is really kind of speaking to that, everything all in one spot. Yeah, so it's that hub for teamwork. I use it on a regular, at Microsoft, most of us are remote workers, so it's my daily tool. Teams and Outlook are up all day long. I would really recommend that as a best practice, where we're probably used for many, many years, used to having Outlook open all day. You should get used to having Teams open all day as well. It can be really that critical in terms of a major or main tool. I won't drain this, but essentially these are really the 4 pillars I usually talk about when I talk to people about Teams. Is this ability to be able to communicate in a single hub, to do it securely. That's a big issue these days, and many people are trying to use third-party tools to get all these things done. But to have it in one spot, especially for you as government customers, you may be in the government cloud, or you're essentially in a secure cloud when you're doing this collaboration, having all your meetings in one spot. And being able to integrate and customize, your other apps, other websites, all in one spot, as well as a team member being able to even customize that team, for your team members, whether it's adding, new tabs, adding new channels and things like that. So those are kind of the 4 pillars I usually talk about when I kind of give somebody a rundown of what Teams is. I was really going to talk a little bit about the meetings. I figure, as we're working from home, one of the key things we're doing is having meetings in Teams. And let me see if my go ahead a little bit. Yeah, we're having meetings in Teams, and that's where this article came into play. You can find it on LinkedIn if you follow me or friend me, or not friend me, but follow me, or connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to do that. But one of the articles I just posted is about that, 3 tips for having a work from home meeting. And in a nutshell, as you're having your meeting, a couple things to be aware of: the mute button, as somebody just mentioned before, but understanding some people are really passionate like me about, hey, I hear all this background noise, hit that mute button. So that's one thing. Turning on your camera like you see today. I mean, I certainly could have done this with just my voice and the PowerPoint, but hopefully it's a little more engaging to you when you see my voice and see my body language as I'm doing this. So that's helpful too. We're no longer, if you're working from home, you're no longer right next to or right in the same conference room as your peers, but you don't have to lose some of that engagement or interaction that you would get in person. Turn that camera on. They already know what you look like, right? I mean, let's just get past that, right? for better or worse, they know what you look like. So just turn the thing on, and it'll really help. It also really helps when somebody hasn't mastered the mute button. When you see it's a lot quicker to say, hey, your mute's not on, you're trying to talk, as opposed to waiting the 20 seconds and all that good stuff. You'll learn to love and hate that little phenomenon when you start having more meetings. And then the last one is really plan to end early. Make that, instead of that 60-minute meeting, what about 55 minutes, right? one, to give some people some time between meetings to handle whatever they need to handle. But also, it kind of gives us a little better anchor point to say, hey, we're at least going to end in 50 minutes. It might go over, but at least we won't keep throughout the day getting late, to come into the next meeting. So it's just a nice little etiquette. So yeah, that article's out there. But I was just going to talk a little really about, meetings in general from a team's perspective, or really, just remote meetings in general. It's always that before, that during, and after, right? Before, how are we preparing for things and getting ready for that meeting? During, what capabilities do we have in the team's meeting during the meeting to have a successful meeting? And then after, what can we do with the assets that come from that? I'm just checking the Q&A here for a sec. Looks like somebody fixed their audio issue, so everybody can hear me great. Again, if you got any questions as you're thinking about it, just pop them in that Q&A. But talking about the meetings here. So before, I'm not going to go through all of these. In fact, I may make these future meetings. Maybe I'll dive deep, because each one of these could be kind of their own little topic. But I just want to pick and choose a couple things in here. So one, this first one, inviting external guests to join a meeting. Again, you're having meetings with your team, but recognize that it's easy to bring, whether it's partners, vendors, someone from another state or agency or something, and to bring them into your meeting is as easy as kind of just putting them on the meeting invite, and they get that link and phone number if you're using the integrated phone numbers to join. And that one is a lot simpler than kind of making someone a guest in your team or federation or anything like that. This is purely just invite into that single meeting. So you're not giving them access to everything in your organization. You're just letting them into that meeting. So it's very easy to bring someone in and collaborate with them in full blown, whether it's audio, video, screen sharing, and that kind of thing. So that's a cool one to think about as that before meeting. Hey, who externally might I want to invite in here? And then then the screen sharing, right, as I'm doing right now, right? It's not just about us hearing each other's voice and video, but it's also about being able to share a document, a PowerPoint. PowerPoint's a real traditional things that we share in these things, but I could share my desktop and you could see while I'm typing, or share a document that we all are have access to, or whatever it may be. But being able to hit that share button and show the people in the meeting something on the screen, as opposed to trying to describe it and they can't see it, is just share it out so that people can see it. Yeah, so that's a couple ones that I'll hit there on the before side. On the during side, again, that first one's really kind of talking about whether it's PC or mobile or web, being able to share your video, having nice audio. But that first one, I think also speaks to this point. Sometimes people forget, you can join a meeting, especially an external person can join your meeting. They don't need a license for Teams or the desktop app. I mean, really, if they've got internet in the browser, they can be in your meeting, right? Because if you've ever tried to join a Teams meeting, you'll see it certainly tries to open your desktop app, and that will be the highest fidelity experience. But you can also hit that join via web button and join the meeting in the browser. You can, the mobile app is free. You could one click join a meeting, right from your phone, and see the meeting and the screen sharing and everything. Call in. You got a lot of options. So I also think that's just a nice thing about the meetings, the flexibility there, whether I'm just I got my rotary phone and I literally just want to call in, all the way to I'm in the car and I want to hit one button and I'm in the meeting with Bluetooth or full-blown desktop. You got a lot of options there for during the meeting. And I think the other one I would pick up on here is probably the idea that you can record the meeting as well. For me, that's really indispensable, because a lot of times in our schedules we get double and triple booked. Can't make every meeting, but when you record it for me, I can easily go back to it later it's readily available. The person that records doesn't have to worry about where do I put this to make sure somebody can see it. If I was a part of that meeting, I should be able to access the recording. It goes in the stream. It's very nice and elegant. Even auto transcription, right? If I don't have time to watch the whole video, I could literally scan through the auto transcription of the audio that's in that. So so recording meetings is great, and that really helps. That's really part of that after column, I guess, accessing the previous recording and transcript. So yeah, I kind of jumped ahead there. But even following up afterwards with those attendees, you're always one click away from chatting with somebody and reviewing any notes that they had. A lot of people do their notes in OneNote. And again, if that's stored in the team that you're in, it's easily accessible to everyone. So these are just some things to consider as you're having meetings, thinking about the prep ahead of time, the things you can do during the meeting, as well as, what can you do after to follow up or to, catch up on what got said. So I'm checking the questions here. If you invite someone to the meeting, do they need Teams? So I'm guessing I said that right before I described it. So right, for a meeting specifically, they don't necessarily need Teams. They can be someone with internet, a browser, and I guess an email address for you to invite them. I don't even know if maybe I don't even need that, but yes, they don't need Teams to join a meeting. If you wanted to make them a guest in your team, or something like that, then yes, they need Teams. But just for a single meeting, single point in time, anyone can join a meeting. Okay, so yeah, I'm checking the Q&A here. Sharing these PowerPoint slides, I can work on making these available. I'll figure that part out. Probably on my Teamwork Cowbell site, which I'll show you in a second. I'll probably put them there. Actually, that's not, let's see, is that it? Oh yeah, okay, so that takes me to here where I did want to talk about, as you're probably here today just because, you're trying to learn more about Teams, but when you think about where can I get more info, you may have saw on the first slide, I have a little link, aka/.ms/5-minute Teams. Kind of gives an easy way for you to see a small or even a long video about Teams, and then some links to some other places. So if you want to kind of memorize one URL, maybe that's it. But these are two also that if you're getting into Teams now, these are two that you should kind of have in your bookmarks or even in a website tab in your Teams ready to go, right? Support.office.com is that long one over on the side there. Tons of training there, whether it be small, short little videos. Hey, how do I create a channel? Here's a video for that. All the way to, something much larger. So that's a good one. And then the other one, a lot of people don't know about, the teamsdemo.office.com. That's an interactive demo. You go there and it fires up it looks like you're in a team. It's really kind of an app that it tells you to click here and it'll type out some stuff. It'll take you through a little scenario. I think it might last 5 or 10 minutes or something. But that's kind of cool. If you really need that visual with a little bit of hands-on in it, that second link there might be a good one to not just passively watch a video about it, but it's really asking you to click. I mean, if you don't interact with it, it won't move forward. So it kind of forces you to interact with it a little bit. So those are a few links to consider. And I think those are all the ones I have there. So this was really about, talking a little bit about meetings, but really opening it up for questions, really. So feel free again to continue to put questions in the Q&A chat. Not seeing too many come in. While we're waiting for other questions, let me fire up a one little thing here, and let me adjust the presentation. So we're going to share something here. So you hopefully still see me. I'm just switching to sharing a new thing. Go here. Okay, so I think you can see that. What we're looking at is one of my little demo environments. I just thought I'd fire up Teams again so you can kind of, if you're brand new to Teams, you can kind of see what that looks like. So it looks like somebody's enjoying the links. Good. I haven't been publishing. You're probably not seeing it, other people's questions. I'm not really publishing the comments, but I certainly could. You probably just see my morning all post over in the Q&A area. Let me go in here. Keep checking Q&A. Normally when you do these live events, you know, you want to have another person helping out, checking Q&A. I'm either brave or foolish. I'm doing this on my own, and so I got to check Q&A as well as run the thing here. But it's all good. The live event, if you, I mean, many of you do own it, I'm sure, and it's worth checking out. In short, you know, live events are webinar style. So if you've got, you know, a need to show content to, or really do a broadcast meeting, and these days many agencies do, you know, it's a way to let 10, you know, up to 10,000 people join this thing just like we're doing now, and you know, either share, you know, audio, video. I mean, I could have even dialed in and been talking to you now, but if you own Teams and Office 365, you probably own Teams Live Event as well, and so it's readily available for you. But we're here in my demo environment, so this is kind of what Teams would look like for a typical user here. You know, you'll see here that I've got my Teams, but really we've been talking about meetings. Let's kind of talk about, you know, jumping into a meeting. If I click over here on calendar, you know, we see it brings up this person's calendar here, but we got a couple buttons up here, right? So we've got Meet Now, which really lets me fire up a meeting. You know, I didn't plan it or schedule it, but hey, you know, I just need to, as it implies, Meet Now. I click that, and I'm pretty much almost, you know, ready to go with the meeting. I'm gonna turn off the camera and the audio, but I could name this something if I want, but I could just hit Join Now, and essentially I am jumping into, you know, a meeting that's ready to go. Now, of course, right now I'm in a meeting of one, right, and I'm the only one here. But inviting someone is easy as going up here, especially if they're in my organization, and just putting their email in and kind of hit and go, and they'll you know, start to get a notification about coming into this meeting. Depending on how if you've got kind of the phone system set up in your agency, I mean, you could literally call somebody's cell phone and bring them in as well. That just depends on your particular setup. But yeah, that's how we would bring people in. And now that we're in, we see a couple typical things, right? So my ability to turn on and off my video, hopefully you turn it on. And when I do turn that video on, and I think because I'm in a browser here, I don't have my background blur option, but you can always blur your background, you know, especially for those of us working from home and the kids are on hiatus. You don't want to become the next meme for the kid coming in the background. I'm even worried about that as we speak, actually. But yeah, you can, the video is here, the recording button is there, my audio, my mute button is there. I think it's Control M or Star M or something. That's the shortcut for mute. So in case you want to be a little, you know, mute a little easier. Our share button is there for all the things that we may want to share to desktop or PowerPoint or something like that. That's where the share button is. And then the chat button. While we are talking and sharing and whatnot, we could also be having, you know, chats going on as well off to the side. And sometimes that's useful. Let's say if we're maybe somebody just mentioned a link, I could put that link in there so everybody can click on it. Sometimes I'll throw a screenshot in there. I'll use my little Windows shortcut, Shift Windows key S would allow me to do a screenshot of, let's say I'll just screenshot this here. And then I can just Control V into the chat window, and, you know, boom, and there's a you know, a screenshot right within the chat or something like that. So different ways to, you know, chat, interact there, and then that button there lets me see who the participants are. The cool thing about this, you know, pro tip is each participant has that little mute button on the side. You can see whether someone's muted or not. You can also mute someone. Maybe they, I don't know what's going on in their world, but you know that they're the cause of the background noise. Help them out, just mute them and keep it moving. So those are the key areas of a meeting. Really, it's just these buttons here in our chat and our attendees list. So, but that's a standard meeting, and then I can, you know, hang up there. But you could certainly, I'll say the call quality was excellent. It usually is. I can go back to calendar though, and I could, of course, schedule a meeting as well. Hit new meeting right there, and kind of just like Outlook, right? Just schedule the meeting just as I need to. Of course, I'm one click away from actually a new live event here as well. That's where the live event scheduling occurs as well. But I could schedule a meeting, and then, you know, just like a typical meeting, people get their invites and whatnot, and then once they do, they're one click away from joining that meeting. And in fact, if it's a meeting, if it is a Teams meeting and they see it in here, I don't have any that have it, but there would be a little join button there, or you can see a join online, right? So they can come here and just really easily with one click jump right into the meeting. So yeah, so that's a simple aspect of join a meeting online. Someone asked, how can I post a Teams link in a chat without sharing the whole URL? A Teams link in a chat without sharing the whole URL. If I understand you correctly, maybe this is a link to other Teams assets, like a file or, you know, or something, or maybe a link to another team or a link to a channel. I think in that meeting, in that chat area, I mean, it will be the whole, well, I'll say it like this. There are some times, depending on how you copy or grab that URL, it can go in there kind of elegantly. A lot of times, though, it will go in just the big blob of the URL. If I fire this up again. So, I mean, you know, yes, it'll be a big URL, but at least it works, I guess. But if I go in here, let me just check that while we got a couple minutes. So that's a good question. So we're connecting here. If I go in the chat, I will say at least that if we chat here, click one more time. Notice that in chat, unlike Skype, right, we really get a way to, if we hit this format button, we get a full-blown, we can do a full-blown message with, I mean, not just a little thing, but I mean, I could bold it and highlight it. I could, you know, put, you know, bullet points in here. I mean, so it's a full-blown message. But I also have the link here. So to your point, as I'm kind of just thinking about it, I could highlight this, do link, and then, you know, put the URL in here. All right, hit insert. So then that'll be a nice, elegant link. So hopefully that's what we're asking about. So there's a nice link. Somebody clicks it, and then in another window, which you can't see right now, they would go to that link. So hopefully that answers your question there. So we're at 10:30. Again, I hope to do more of these. I'll probably continue to use the URL that you went to today. I think it was aka.ms/office hours team 0365. So reach out to me, but more of these will be coming, and I'll definitely keep everybody posted. If you need custom content for your agency, and obviously I work with your agency, just let me know. We can do that too. But hope this helped, and I'll see you next time. So have a good day.